Good evening. I have 7 o'clock. It's time to start the March 17th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. So we'll call to order and we'll call the roll. Maysfield,
Here.
McLean,
Here.
Bradshaw,
Here.
Curtis is absent with permission, Lindsay,
Here.
and Cutler.
Here.
Would like to ask for consideration of the meeting agenda.
Make a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
We have a second.
Support.
Any comments or discussion on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. This may be a very brief meeting, but we should follow the rules. So we do have the opportunity for people here to comment for 2 minutes. This is in addition to any time that would be spent talking about the actual submission tonight. So you don't have to get up and talk now. If you would have anything else you want to say, you're perfectly by your right to do it right now. So seeing no comments, we'll close the public comment session. And then let's go to the minutes from the last meeting, which was held on February 3rd, 2025. Are there any comments or revisions needed? Seeing no comments from the commission, I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Support.
So motion by Cutler, support by Bradshaw. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are accepted.
Support by McLean.
I beg your pardon.
My pardon is granted.
I beg your pardon. Support by McLean.
We sound a lot alike.
You
Well, you're
do,
just-
I thought it was you.
I think you're just both very mellow tonight. It sounded like, okay. So let's talk about any conflict of interest. Do we have any conflict on the commission tonight? Then let's go to new business, which is public hearing and consideration of a home-based business for a dog groomer in a proposed 20 by 10 accessory building at 8461 76th Street Southeast, Suds and Spa on parcel 41 23 11 451 031. Ms. Linne?
All right, thank you. Thank you all for being here today and happy St. Patrick's Day. We have a request. It's a special land use for a home-based business. Home-based businesses are handled as special land uses in the township, whereas something like a home occupation would just be a business license that's approved administratively. Because this is a business and it's conducted in an accessory building, that moves it to that special land use requirement. The property in question is in the R1 zoning district. They have 5.15 acres. We did receive a narrative from the applicant that spoke to conducting this dog grooming business. They would have a driveway off of Whitneyville that would need to be approved, that curb cut by the Kent County Road Commission. The dog grooming building, half of the building would be used for storage and of materials, and half would be the actual grooming operation. I talked to the applicant about kind of pick up and drop off just to get a sense of the level of use and whether there would be dogs outside, and they shared that the way that they schedule the grooming is they don't overlap. She doesn't want to have any dogs outside because A, they get dirty, and B, there's too much liability. She really wants to make sure that the grooming business and the dogs are secure, especially being so close to Whitneyville. She did mention that it's a part-time business, that she doesn't anticipate being very busy. However, she wants to work from home. So we went through the requirements of the special land use, and we found that it met the requirements. We don't anticipate a lot of traffic from this use. We did, as I mentioned, the curb cut would have to be reviewed by the county. In terms of water and wastewater, the wastewater would have to be reviewed by the health department. I did check with the township engineer about that, and he said that it would be kind of governed and reviewed by the county. In terms of the water, they do intend to utilize the existing well on the property for their water. There's no new landscaping proposed. There's no new screening is proposed. We don't anticipate that screening is necessary. It's a bit of a wooded site. We did have a stipulation that we wanted to include that no outdoor storage be permitted with this home-based business. We did not notice in the application materials that the applicant plans on having any sign, but if she does want to have a sign for the business, it would have to meet the requirements of the R1 zoning district. There are no employees proposed, so it's only the owner of the property. And in terms of the special land use standards, we didn't feel that this would have any adverse effect on water, sewer, traffic circulation, drainage, public safety or emergency services. We didn't feel that it would have an adverse effect on natural features. There's ample space to have the accessory building. It would meet all of the setbacks for the R1 district. And in terms of the home-based business, it meets the specific standards. It's in the R1 district. As I said, there's only one employee. There's no special equipment other than clippers. They're using 50% of the building for the grooming, and the rest would be the storage. There's no outdoor storage. They're not selling any goods. The service that they're selling is the grooming. There's no change to the outside appearance that would not be common in this R1 district. The accessory building meets the size requirements of the zoning ordinance. There wouldn't be toxic materials. Again, with the dog, nothing can be toxic. And we don't anticipate that the activity would interfere with radio or television transmission. The parking area would just be gravel parking, just a kind of a turnaround space for someone to load and unload their pet. And the hours of operation would be Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So that's the overview, and I know the applicant's here if you have any questions for them as well. And this is a public hearing, so we will want to hear from any comments from the public. We didn't receive anything in writing.
Okay. Well, if you'd like to discuss or explain further your application, that would be great for us, but I don't know, does anybody on the commission have any questions specifically?
I just had maybe just a couple clarifying questions.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone, please. I promise, we'll go easy on you.
One,
I do have the Kent County Road Commission already approved our permit for the driveway.
Oh, fantastic.
Good
Thank
news.
you for sharing that.
Yeah, I brought a copy. I have like 3 copies, so if you want to look at
Sure,
it.
I'll take one if you have a copy for us.
is that what this is showing on the plan?
That's just I drew that, just to show you kind of where it's gonna be from our house compared to our house.
Because it's not going to be at our house.
Okay.
Please go ahead, Jody, with your question.
Yeah, so that was just one question. I was trying to understand if that was, you were
Yeah.
building a additional connection point.
Yeah, because our house kind of sits on a hill, so we don't want people backing in and out of that driveway just because it's hard to get
Yeah.
out of.
Okay. Then my second question, and Lene, this might even be a thing. So right now, it says both lots are combined. Is that, both lots are combined with us? They are registered that way within the township.
Yeah, they were combined.
Okay,
Yep, there was a land combination that the assessor approved.
okay. And those would stay, obviously then stay that way.
Correct, yep.
The only other, those are really the only questions I had. It's grooming
and it
only,
wouldn't
you told
be-
us the hours, 7 to 7.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that either, even because, to be honest, it'd probably be 9 to 3. Just because, and not even 5 days a week, just because it is part-time, so. I honestly will not be out there working at 7 o'clock, because I don't want to, I don't want to be.
Could be a drop-off time
Depends
though,
on how
right? Like if
popular you are.
someone that, if I was taking my dog to groom, I might have to do it before I went to
Well,
work.
yeah, I
That
could
could be.
accommodate, yeah, in the
Yeah.
early morning, but I wouldn't be there at 7 at night, like
Yeah,
grooming, still
Still
maybe,
grooming
like,
people.
that's just too late.
That does bring up a question for me, which is, can you explain the amount of time a pet would be with you?
So, I'm trying not to have anybody really kenneled, because obviously with kenneled dogs, you get more barking usually.
Mhm.
And since it's one-on-one, I'm gonna be having the person drop off the dog and give them like a 30-minute notice within the 2 hours. Usually it takes 2 hours at the most.
Mhm.
So almost time to pick up, I'd notify them ahead of time, like, hey, your dog is ready to get picked up.
Yeah, I think that's
So then
important because you're not asking for permission to kennel animals.
No.
And so you won't have it.
No.
So that's important. That's a part of your business
Yeah,
plan.
it's not a kennel at all, so it's like I'm
Right.
not keeping dogs overnight or anything like
But
that. So
I-
they're gonna have to pick up their dog in a slotted amount of time.
Yeah, I hope it works because I know what some dog owners are like too, so. They love them so much until they don't have time for them, so.
Yeah, and I've run into issues where the owner will try to drop off and then not pick up till after they get out of work, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
Especially one-on-one, I'm not taking more than one dog at a time, so I can't bring in another one until
Yeah.
the first one is picked up, kind of thing, so.
Okay. Are there other questions?
I think maybe just a reiteration on the sign.
So I didn't really think about that, to be
Okay.
honest. I didn't know, honestly. I read kind of like the signage part in the rules, but I've never done that. So I don't know what I could do with what I have. So,
If you do want a sign, we're happy to meet with you and talk to you about what you're able to have in that R1 district for home-based business.
okay. Yeah, I came from Ionia County, and Ionia County's a lot different, so I literally just had like a sign, probably this by this, and it was just in the ground. It wasn't anything extravagant. But obviously, I know this county's different, so.
Well, see, go ahead.
Question, hoping that your business is extremely successful, your application does state that only one dog would be groomed at a time. What if you want to grow and potentially have an employee and is there
I
any?
don't think a home-based business can have an employee.
Okay, good, thanks, you got that right.
And I honestly, I don't want an employee.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, so I'd just rather be on my own.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's the discussion. I'd entertain a motion.
Do you want to open the public hearing?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We'll open the public hearing for any comment on this application.
We're just here to support them.
Okay.
Aw.
Great neighbors.
Well, seeing no formal public comment, we'll close that. And now I will entertain a motion on the application.
Would make a motion that we approve the request for consideration of the home-based business for the dog groomer, Suds and Spa at 8461 76th Street. As per the planner's memo dated March 17th.
Motion by Maysfield,
Support.
Support by,
Lindsay?
Lindsay?
sorry, Lindsay. It's my biggest fear, forget somebody's name while I'm up here. All in favor? Or is this,
Yeah, all in favor.
okay, all in favor?
I,
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. You have your permission. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for figuring out what the township asked for and coming in prepared.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm from Ione
So
County. I don't have
we
any
appreciate
rules.
that.
Well, it seems like you're gonna be a really good neighbor, so welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So with that taken care of, unfinished business, oh, we have the annual report to talk about.
Yeah, that is just really informational only. We're required to do an annual report. And I always think it's interesting to kind of look across the history, the last 5 years, and see the types of projects that we've considered and, you know, the work that we've done to date. And how busy we've been. We've definitely had more PUDs than we've ever had. Kind of kept kind of the same average of special use permits. We've had more site plan reviews than we did in the past. I think some of that was just return applicants too, especially with Mr. Car Wash. The PMR has continued. The administrative reviews that I've done that you haven't seen, so about the same, 6. And in terms of long-range planning, we've been working on those text amendments. They'll be on the agenda at the next meeting we have, the ones that we've talked about several months ago. And then that's about it. So if you have any other questions, let me know.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess I won't open the floor for public comment because there's no public to comment.
All right,
Or I opened it, now we'll close it.
here we go.
Any comments from the commissioners?
I'm planning to attend the Michigan Township Association Conference coming up at DeVos Place on April 1st and 2nd. So looking forward to the networking and learning, and if I learn anything earth-shattering, I'll be sure to bring it back and share it with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then there is this training opportunity. I know that there's budget that the township has for training for planning commissioners. So if you feel moved by this, MTA does a great training. It's usually done by a land use attorney that they bring in. It's also just a great opportunity for question and answer, to talk to other planning commissioners from across the state. So I see that one of them is in Kalamazoo, so it's not too far away. And they also provide you with great materials, like takeaway materials for further reading and reference. So if anyone's interested, you can email me or Allison, and we'll get you registered. So we'd love to have you take advantage of this opportunity.
I guess the comment that I have is, a little while ago, something came up, a discussion about design standards for industrial buildings.
Yeah.
And I did do a dive, this is back before I retired and had more access, and I did look for good examples of standards. A lot of them are, I guess what's the way to say it, they're kind of soft. They say, we like things that are kind of like this. They don't tend towards a prescriptive, you have to have this many square feet of this or that, or whatever. And so, you know, I don't know that I've identified anything that I would say is a great template for us
Okay.
at this point. But I know Doug too had some interest in trying to give guidance to people who are building industrial buildings. I don't know. Tim, do you have any thoughts about that?
I don't.
I'm a little averse to having really restrictive standards, but at the same time, you don't want the community to end up a mess. And it's a bit of a challenge for me to visualize how to make that happen. You know, there's a sort of an Ann Arbor model, which is, you know, all of these big hand waving things that they say we want to encourage this kind of a feel in our community, but it doesn't give a high level of guidance to a developer. And I think the last thing we'd want to do would be a community that people are trying to guess what we want.
Right.
So I don't know that there's an easy answer to it.
Have we seen anything from the neighboring communities at all, or townships?
My experience has been with City of Grand Rapids, Walker, and what they do is they end up with a list of, you know, you're gonna have to have a change in the facade of your building every so many feet or something like that. And you need to use these materials. And so basically what you end up with is all the Gruder's buildings, they all look the same, you know? And I guess that keeps them from being any uglier than that, but it doesn't really encourage people to be very creative with what they're building.
Well, I'm happy to do some research as well on that and see if I can find
Well,
anything else.
I'm just bringing
to-
it back up because I feel like I didn't follow through, and I think
Thank you.
it's a valid thing to think about. I don't know that it needs to be our next focus, but I have thought about it. I know Doug had some things he wanted to see. I don't know if we want to pursue it, have a working group or something like that. I would be willing to participate if we did decide to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe you'll hear something too, Tim, in your thing you're going to. Maybe there's other bubbling up for other areas.
Yeah.
That might have some guidance. I'm also trying to think of what other areas outside, you know, across the country that we visited where we think of, okay, they do this really well. And normally when they do it well, you don't even really notice. It's when it's
Yeah.
not done well that you notice and you're like, oh, I sure don't want it to look like this. So it's a good reminder though,
Well,
to think.
Yeah.
Look through that lens maybe as we're out and about.
correspondence and staff updates, anything beyond the planning and zoning thing, Lene?
No, I was mentioning that we don't meet the spring break week of April, so our next meeting would be that third Monday in April. Submission deadlines are this coming Monday. I don't have anything yet, but usually people bring stuff in on that deadline, so we'll let you know.
Okay. Well, we're at that point.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Woo-hoo.
All right, write it down.